For the Palestinians, this UN House of Darkness is home court. They know that in this swamp of anti-Semitic bile, there's an automatic majority willing to demonize the Jewish state on anything. In the last decade, there have been more resolutions passed against Israel in this hall at the UN General Assembly than against the entire world combined. Until this anti-Semitic swamp is drained, the UN will be viewed by fair-minded people everywhere as nothing more than a contemptuous farce.
Joining us now for reaction, President Trump's former Deputy National Security Advisor, Victoria Coates, plus former National Security Council Chief of Staff in the Trump administration, Fred Fleitz. Good to see you both. Fred, I'm going to start with you. Let's talk about those comments from Benjamin Netanyahu at the UN. Do you believe the UN is acting anti-Semitic towards Israel? What do you make of those comments?
Of course it is. This has been the case for decades. I was predicting before Netanyahu came to New York that this was just going to be another anti-Israel hate fest. Well, Netanyahu knew that, and he upped the ante by using what I think is probably the best expression I ever heard, calling it a swamp of anti-Semitic bile. We need to call out enemies and evil people, quite frankly and honestly, and the Biden administration is not going to do that. If Donald Trump comes back into office, I think when he speaks at the UN General Assembly, we're going to really hear a humdinger of a speech to let the UN know where it's gone wrong.
You know, Victoria, when it comes to Iran, President Trump also not holding back, said he'd blow it up to smithereens. We also know that three Iranian men were just arrested by the Department of Justice for hacking President Trump's campaign. We know there have been threats against his life. And Bibi also had a very specific message for Iran. Take a listen to this.
I have a message for the tyrants of Tehran. If you strike us, we will strike you. There is no place in Iran that the long arm of Israel cannot reach. And that's true of the entire Middle East.
So, Victoria, you have strong words from Bibi. You got strong words from President Trump. Yet Biden and Harris, they seem to pussyfoot with Iran. You can't appease a #1 state sponsor of terrorism. What do you think? Is that what's missing here to deter Iran from continuing doing what they've been doing?
Oh, absolutely. And the most impressive thing, perhaps, about the prime minister's speech is that he gave it knowing that the hit on Nasrallah was out, when we still don't know if it was successful or not, but he knew that was going on while he gave this speech. And the speech was right in line with that action, that Netanyahu is not going to sort of cave in to the doublespeak of the United Nations anymore. He's going to call a snake, in this case, the United Nations being an anti-Semitic swamp. And same thing with President Trump. And I got the call from the FBI yesterday when they were preparing to unseal this indictment, because I've been under cyber attack from the Iranians as well. And they were calling to let me know they were doing this. With great pride. And I thought it was terrific that there are some in the FBI who are still doing their jobs. But President Trump is correct. I mean, if they are threatening a hair on his head, that place should be turned into glass. And we have done absolutely nothing to actually hold them accountable. These indictments are desirable, but they're a messaging device. I want to know what's actually going to be done to punish them for plotting against the former president.
It seems like, Fred, all they've really tried is just deterrence. You know, we have these two maps that show all our battleships in the Gulf of Oman and in the Mediterranean Sea, but actual sanctions or some type of preemptive strike, we haven't seen it. And a lot of people believe, and I think you're one of them, that that's why Iran continues to do what it does.
That's right. American deterrence has deteriorated under this president, and all we get are demands that the Israelis agree to ceasefires. And we saw that this week. The U.S. basically preemptively announced a ceasefire, a 21-day ceasefire, just before Netanyahu got on a plane to New York and sort of implied to the news media that this ceasefire was going to be implemented. Well, what happened? When Netanyahu got off the plane, he said Israel hasn't agreed to this. Israel will agree to a ceasefire when it is in its strategic interest, not when the Biden administration decides to implement one because of the upcoming presidential election.
Victoria Coates and Fred Fleitz, thank you both so much.